What's up, everybody? I hope you're having a fantastic Monday. But here's the deal. If you're outside right now, it's not exactly pretty. It's not exactly the day that we want. It kind of actually feels a little bit like a Monday, doesn't it? Like, let's be honest. It's cloudy, it's cold, it's a little bit gross, not exactly the kind of weather that you just want to spend outside. Like, honestly, I think I just felt a raindrop, so it's that kind of day. To be quite honest, I would much rather be inside with a cup of coffee and a book and some sweatpants and not be standing out here right now. But it's days like today that actually remind me of what we're going to be talking about on today's video for our Advent discipleship journey for this year, for December. So I want to invite you into this video. We're actually going to run inside here in just a second. I'm actually out here outside of the church. That's why you probably hear some cars moving by and things like that. But let's run inside where it's a little bit quieter and we can chat for a few more minutes. So last week we started out on this new journey, this new Advent discipleship journey for you guys. Posts, they're going to come out every single Monday. You're going to get a new video, some new content for you guys to be watching that we're just praying is an encouragement for you as you get ready for Christmas. Now, we talked last week, we're celebrating Advent this year. This is something that we've done over the past couple of years, but I just want to quickly recap and remind you why we're doing this and why Advent is so important for this time of year. Advent is the season leading up to Christmas. Like Lent leads up to Easter. Advent is just a season on a Christian calendar where thousands, millions of followers of Jesus around the world from all kinds of tribes and languages and backgrounds and ethnicities are all celebrating and anticipating the coming Messiah. So we celebrate this around Christmas time because we are celebrating the birth of Jesus, like the moment that God stepped into the world and took on the name Emmanuel, God with us. He became one of us to give us the kind of life that He has. There are four main themes that we primarily talk about this time of year. They are hope, peace, joy, and love. So every week over the course of December, we're going to be processing one of those themes. And today we're talking about hope. And I wanted to start out outside because it's days like today that remind me of hope the most. Like you would think that it's the bright days. You would think that it's the beautiful days outside where I'm hopeful and I'm feeling great about life, but it's actually the darker and the cloudier days, the days that don't feel the way that I want them to. And I'll tell you why. Because it's those days that remind me that there's something better to come. Have you ever walked outside and it was a cloudy day and you just see that little bit of blue sky coming through and it's like you get this emotional experience where you're like, finally something beautiful is coming. And it's days like today that remind me actually of one of my favorite stories in the Bible, but the thing about this story is that you're not going to find it in any gospel. You're not going to find it in the Old Testament. It actually only takes up one page in your Bible, and that page actually didn't have any words on it. One of my favorite stories in the Bible is actually the story of what's known as the intertestamental period, which is just a fancy way to say it's the 400 years that took place in between the final words of Malachi and when Jesus stepped on the scene in the Gospels. And the reason that I love this story so much is because it's 400 years of God not talking, of God not speaking to His people, and yet you have people who are filled with hope. People who are filled with faith, knowing that the one they've been talking about, the one they've been writing about for so many years is going to come. He's going to set things right. He will truly bring everything on earth as it is in heaven. And that's something that you're longing for today. That's something that I'm longing for today. And it gives me a lot of hope that we get to do this together. I'm reminded that life doesn't always look the way we want it to. Things don't always happen the way that we anticipated them happening, but it's in those moments where we're filled with the most hope because we know that there are better things lying ahead than what are right here. Now, it reminds me of what Paul would say in Romans chapter 5 when he says that hope doesn't put us to shame. And he says, we actually rejoice in our sufferings because our sufferings bring about perseverance. And that perseverance brings about character, and your character brings about hope. And he says this to say, as you walk through difficult times, as you walk through things that feel like deep suffering in your life, you start to be formed into a lifestyle of perseverance. You, with every step, are formed more into this person who's able to take more steps. It's like when you work out. The more you work out, the more you are able to take on. The further you're able to run, the more you're able to lift. And as you persevere, you are formed into a character. It becomes not so much about the things that you do, but rather the person that you are. And then that character, Paul would say, is what brings about hope. You become a hopeful individual because of the experiences behind you. It's not from a lifestyle of everything being simple, but rather your faith is strengthened through those difficult things that you walk through. So I just want to encourage you with that today, that even though you look outside, I'm actually sitting in the lobby at church right now. I'm looking outside this window and I see that the day kind of looks dark and dreary. In fact, it's actually gotten colder as the day has gone on instead of getting warmer. And yet, in the middle of all of that, this day reminds me that there's better stuff to come. It's not just a wishful thinking. It's not just a blind belief, a blind faith in something, but rather we have an anticipation. We have an assurance that better things are lying ahead. That there is something to look forward to, and that thing that we're looking forward to is Jesus coming and setting your world right, setting my world right, and setting everything in the world exactly the way that it was intended to be when God originally spoke it into existence. And it's kind of interesting. I'm sitting here right now and I'm watching the sun break through some of the clouds. And it's this steady reminder for me that there is hope right here and right now. Hope is not something that you are just wishing is going to show up, but rather it's something that walks into your room, something that steps in the door at your house and it changes the way you see the world. So I'm praying that you guys are uplifted. I'm praying that you are growing in your faith today. And one way that I hope that you are joining us as we all try to seek to grow in our faith is actually this daily Bible reading plan that we have taken part in for the past week, but it's not too late for you to join in as well. If you click the link down in the description, or you'll actually find it on our Instagram, you can join into an Advent daily Bible reading plan with us that we're hoping is gonna lead you and guide you and help you grow in your faith right here, right now, during this season. So I'm praying that you are having a fantastic day. I'm praying that you're encouraged and that you are filled with hope today, and that you are ready and willing to take part in whatever God has planned for you today. Hey, I love you guys. Grace and peace.